Hello, and welcome back to Skull and Bones. Right, we're doing a Vikram. So we weren't going to do Vikram, we were actually going to do a Briggs. I've been playing around with that just recently, but figuring this is the main event, so I should probably do this. And what I've brought it in is we're doing pretty much as I started before I had all of the decent equipment. If you can get the Nationals, they are very good with this, because every time you hit him, especially if you hit a weak point, you're going to get heals back, and you're going to get a decent amount of heals back. We've only got one set on this boat, and they're on the front to give us the 6 shots off the front of the boat. Everything else is Divine Thunder all around, and obviously we're set up mainly for Divine Thunder. We do have fire on here as well, but one of the pieces of furniture will cover that, but we haven't any. But anyway, we will take a look at that towards the end. But for now, we'll just cover this guy, because he can be quite daunting, especially for new players. This is more, I think, a video for the newer people coming into this player, into this boss, rather than ones that have been fighting him all the way through. Once you've picked up his mechanics, he's not so scary. But obviously you start with the lower one, was it the 13, and then you've got the 16, and now we've got the 17. We're doing it against the 17 because if it can work against this, then it'll work against pretty much all of them, and it does. But the only trouble is it's not necessarily the kind of style that I generally use. It's a style that I actually didn't go for when similar to the Megalostari build. There are plenty of builds out there for the Megalostari which are based around being stationary, which is something I kind of avoided because I'm a bit of a fidget. I like to move about, but for this we decided to go for the stationary method, simply because survivability is just so much better with the use of the furnitures, some of the furnitures, and the ability of the ship, which is to do things at range. The better, the further the range, the more damage you do. Obviously that caps out at 80%, but that's still 8%. And occasionally he will come in close to you. The only thing you really have to watch out for, because it's not braceable, is if he spawns above you and then drops on you, yeah, there ain't no escaping that. That's a sink. It's just the way it goes. I've experienced that a few times. Even the towers, you've got to be careful of them as well. So if you have one pop up next to you, then probably a good idea to move away. Another thing is we're going to keep an eye out for him pulsing, so that's when we know we need to. Look, we've got one of his ships coming in. Yeah, another thing to keep an eye out for. We chose to brace that one. Had we not braced it, we would have taken quite a bit of damage, but bracing it isn't too bad. So we just opted to let him just sort that one out for himself. Now we're about to get hit by his secondary effect, but we only take half the damage. Now I do blow it up, so look at the just above the health bar on the left of the screen, and you'll see that when we take his effect, look at the outer edge, which will start clocking down because we're bracing it out as well with the help of the armor. It only started at half, so we didn't take all of it, which means we only probably need to use, depending on how much stamina you had when you got hit, probably 2, possibly 3 resets on your stamina, but you should have enough to brace it out. Had it been a full, then chances are you better brace half of it, and then you'd have to wait for a cooldown before you can add more stamina, in which case he does more damage. So that is a damage mitigation type of thing. By reducing that, it doesn't actually reduce the amount of damage he does. Well, you've got the effect, but it takes away the timer, so you have it for less amount of time and easier to get rid of. We're shooting the towers again because oh, there he is, he's right next to us, so we can start shooting him again. So yeah, not ideal that he's right next to us. We're going to pop a shield, and I don't think we get it down in time, so we're probably going to use a repair kit on that, or a restoration kit rather. Another thing is to put them on your quick bar. I haven't done it for this one. I kept meaning to do it and never got round to it. I have done it since. In fact, I think I've done it shortly after this one. But he's very close to us. We don't want us as close as you want to get to him. If you get any closer when he drops, yeah, that will finish it. That's pretty much a game over move for him. A one drop, if you like. Put some more shots in. Get up the shield. The shield you can do every 20 seconds, and it lasts for about 12 seconds. So once that depletes, you'll pretty much be able to reactivate it in about a little bit longer than it takes you to reload one of your cannons. Your cannons should be around 720, and on the front, if you haven't got anything to add, it probably goes up to about 7.8 seconds. Here's his AoE again, and we got hit by that one. That's a restoration kit. No, we're going to brace that one out apparently. Yeah, this is a pre-record. This is it's actually, I think I've done this one a little while ago. I can't actually remember when. And the reason we've gone for this one is over some of the other examples that I've got is because in this one you do have trouble tracking him a little bit. I did this because I forgot a very useful tip that I should have used, and I didn't. But I will show you an example of that very shortly. So yeah, you need to know where this guy is all of the time, so you can keep an eye out for when he's about to hit you with the AoE, so you can try and manage it. And if you lose track of him and you don't know it's coming, and then you get hit by his area effect, well, it's going to make it harder for you to track him and monitor when he's pulsing, so you can get ready to drop a shield down like he's pulsing now. He's about to throw out his area effect. We drop a shield down, and we're covered. Doesn't always work because you've got to keep an eye on him, but if you lose track of him, it becomes difficult. So the easiest workaround for that is to do a call for help. Now, no one's going to be coming because you're starting a fresh server when you're fighting this particular fella, so there's only 5 of you on the server at this point. It doesn't open up until this event is finished, and then the server gets opened up, and well, normally it's just 5 of you on the server, which isn't ideal, and I do have issues about that, but that's for another video possibly. But the easiest work, what that will do is it will bring up the marker, and we will pop that up on the screen now, up on the top right, and then you can follow where the marker goes. This works very well for, well, loads of bosses. Rogue Mandalorian, very effective if you haven't got the target above your head once you've spyglassed her. And not only that, this is more visual. You can see it more actively where they are as they move around the map. You just follow the yellow bar. Now that does time out, and then you just reapply it, and then you've got it back again. That's if you're struggling keeping track. And then once you get going, you'll start to pick it up. And once you start to manage the area effect anyway, and it doesn't feel quite so scary. I mean, this is very much, if you think, well, for the veteran players will probably know this, but and the newer players will. This is something you're going to find out. Is like when you first like up against La Peste or the Bastion. Essentially, we used to pretty much a whole server to kill that guy, and now people can do him on their own because obviously it starts off hard. But as the more and more practice you have with him, and the more you get used to how it works, you'll work out your own little workarounds, and you can start putting variations on your ship and even changing your ship. But obviously, this is how, well, I suppose my little recommendation of if you're starting out and you have the Garuda, you have at least one of those guns. You don't need that, but when you get one, stick them on there because that will give you the heals. But you can do it without it. You don't need them. You can do this with Divine Thunders all the way around, which you can now buy from William Blackwood. Well, they're in the store at the well, they are currently in the store, but there's a patch today, so they could go tomorrow, to be honest. But they will return, and then hopefully next season the Nashgar guns will also be more readily available as well, rather than having to get it either out of this guy's box or buy them from the store. But we do have a whole season to do it, even though the events are a little bit slow at the moment, especially for the more casual. If you're in the game playing an awful lot, then it's a lot easier to get. But I've generally been more casual this season because it's just been a busy month. And I've felt the effect of it, and it has been a bit of a challenge at times, but it's not impossible, and this is kind of my workaround for that. I'm limited on the guns. I think I only have 3 sets at the moment, 2 of which are on a ship, and I had to spare one, and I stuck him on here, and it works fairly well. I'm quite pleased with it. There you go. I've just got some heals back, and then we're back up to full health. Now, one thing you will start noticing in a minute, we do pick up a visual glitch because we've been bracing an awful lot in this and getting rid of some of the area effect. You'll notice it will just start staying on the ship. The effect you give when you go bracing, you get like a little pulse of your own, that will start to stay on the ship. That is just a visual glitch, unfortunately. It's not ideal, but there's nothing I can really do about that. There you go, it started. Oh no, we're bracing at the moment, so that effect there, at some point, that just stays. It's not doing anything, it's just a visual, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out for the last little portion of this, and then I will join you at the end, and we'll go and take a look at what we've got on the ship. Nothing revolutionary, but helpful, I think. Well, it was for me anyway. So anyway, I'll catch you at the end, which is not too far away now.
Go back to the deck! Send them to the depths. You will not defeat me so easily. You shall never be Daku, even in your dreams.
Okay, so now we've got that the boss done. We are back at dock. We are using obviously the Garuda, and this is the perk you'll get once you get it to level 6 of 6. Once you've upgraded her fully, the increased weapon damage by 30% when hitting target with punctured, and the long gun's no longer a top deck only weapon when equipped at the bow. So only at the front you get those extra slots added for your lower decks. Now the beauty of that is there's 2 on each side, so we've got 2 this side and there's 2 the other side. So there's 4 lower decks, and obviously you've got the top, which puts you up to a nice 6 cannons on the front. That's that perk, but that's not the one we're generally working around today. What we're going for is range, which is the Deadeye, which is weapon damage is increased on how far you are from the target, but that's capped at 80%. Piercing weapons deal 20% more damage. Long guns generally have pierce. I don't know any long guns that don't have piercing damage. And when your hull is 40% or lower, it increases your armor by 1,000, and the trimming no longer costs stamina for 10 seconds. Now this effect has a 40% cooldown, 40-second cooldown. Right, not 40% cooldown, 40-second cooldown. And that's pretty much the perks. Everything else is just normal. But yeah, but we got it to level 6 of 6. Right, let's come out of there and go and have a look at what we've got actually. In fact, I could have just clicked on that, couldn't I? So we've already talked about what we've got on the front in terms of the weapon. We got oh, just taking them off, wrong button. We've got the NASCARs, which are, they do the ghostly mending, and when you fire at the boss's shield, you'll see like skulls shaping around it. It's rather a nice effect. I quite like that. For 5% damage dealt from this weapon restores whole health, and when you hit a weak point, the repair amount is multiplied by 700%, which is that's the clincher right there. That's where the heliports unfortunately don't. Obviously you do get a decent amount of back from those heliports, the Carnarvons that we got for the Halloween event, which is, they've now taken away the effect of that. They now look more like cannonballs on fire when they're firing, which is quite nice. But I don't think they give that effect, as I remember right. And obviously it has burning as well, and we have a little bit of furniture that works around that, but it's not dedicated to it. It's just a kind of a byproduct of what we're already using. And then for the rest of the cannons, we've got the Divine Thunder design, which is obviously the electric damage, 30% to summon a devastating strike of 3,000 electrical damage, which is nice, and obviously it gives you 20% damage added as electric damage, which, you know, it's nothing. We've seen all that before. So if we come out of and we've also got the Blight Keeper for our shield. Now it's got a 20-second reload. Does it say how long it is out for? It should do. I'm sure it did. Doesn't. I'm sure it's about 12 seconds or something around there. It's not. Operation time 18 seconds apparently. Oh, okay. I thought it was 12. Is that 18 seconds? Has that been buffed? I could have sworn that was 12 seconds. But if that's 18 seconds, I'm all for it, frankly, because that means you only got to worry about for the last 2 seconds, and then you can pop another one. So yeah, if anyone knows, I'm sure that was 12. I could have sworn I've been running on that being a 12-second duration time. But if that's been buffed, then, you know, I'm all for it. Okay, and then we move into the armour with we've got, this is the one you get from the Smuggler's Pass. This is the one that I've said I was going for first, and the reason I was going for it first was pretty much for this one right here, which is while bracing reduces the duration of negative effect status by 10% of their maximum duration every second. So that takes away. Now if you've got that at full, if it's 100% that you've got to take away, that's obviously going to take a bit of time and use up quite a bit of stamina, because that's what it will do. But if you can reduce that by half and only have to worry about getting rid of half of that effect, like half of the bar of its general duration, then you're much better off. And also the damage taken with the puncher's status effect is reduces the damage taken by the puncher's status effect by 25%, which is also nice. But for this particular bit boss, this is the one, your arc, dark meditation. And then we move out from there, and then we move into the furniture. We've got Shooting's Guidance. Let's bring up the stats for it. Hitting a weak point increases the damage dealt by the next weak point hit within 8 seconds by 30%, increases damage dealt within the front weapons by 12%, and reduces reload time of the front weapons by 7%. So that's clawing some of that 20% that we lose on the lower decks. And then we've got charge stores. Triggering Stormstruck on the target increases the next damage attack by 50%, increases the charge rate of a blaze effect by 10% on target with Stormstruck. That's handy because we've got a lot of weapons on the ship that will deal Stormstruck, and we've also got 6 shots available that will put on the blaze effect as well. So that's all good, and increases electrical damage by 5%. And then this is the one which pretty much is dedicates or dictates how we play this one, is reduces incoming secondary damage by 50% while anchored. That's why when we got his effect, it only had half of the bar. It didn't necessarily reduced the damage that we were getting, but what it did do is reduce the duration of the time we had it for. So essentially it reduces it by 50%. It's just the way that it does it. Increases duration of 75% while dropping, and increases deceleration by 75% while dropping anchor. This is one of the ones we used to use for the races, especially when we were doing the river ones and you want to do the tight turns. It brought that Brigadine to a stop that little bit quicker. And then we've got Amber Station, increases the charge rate of Stormstruck status effects on a target by 8%, and increases the duration of the Stormstruck status effect on a target by 8%. Again, plays into the hands of putting on a 10% for blaze effect. As long as you can keep the Stormstruck status up, then that helps with catching him on fire and maybe keeping him on fire. That was the Amber Station. And then we've got beam supports. This one's pretty much a filler. It's because there are a few things you can put in here, I think one of which I don't have, which would be quite nice. So if you're having trouble hitting with the long guns because of the arc, the actual arc which you have when you fire the cannons, I think it's long gun grinder basically that brings that down, because it increases the speed of the ball, which reduces the arc that you fire, so it's a bit more of a straighter shot. You haven't got a depth for it, so basically shoot higher than you would probably need to, so that it angles down into the ship at distance. If you're having trouble working that out, then long gun grinder is not a bad one. Or if I have the other one here, or do I not? I don't think I do. I might have one on another ship, which reduce or increases the secondary damage. Oh, there it is there. Increases secondary damage from long guns by 90%. That's also quite good. So that's what we on. Did we do all of them? I think we've got one more to cover, which is this one. Oh yeah, the new piercing weapon. So you get this one from the store, or you can loot it out of his box if you manage to kill him and get a decent drop rate. Increases secondary damage for piercing weapons by 15%, and increases maximum range of piercing weapons by 8%. I think yeah, the 8% is definitely good, because again we're pretty much going at range, because that works with the ship's ability as well, so that all kind of fits in together. I think the only one on this here I would probably exchange will be beam supports, when I can find something that I want to put on there. I just haven't had anything as of yet that well, I'm kind of comfortable with that as it is. And not only that, I'm not just using him to fight these bosses, I'm using him for other bosses as well, where I may not necessarily be stationary, so I'm not getting the effect of this, in which case this is going to help me out a little bit as well. But there's plenty of other things you can stick on there, companion screens, or another good one for this ship actually is it, no, I can't find it now, I don't know if oh there it is there, secret cache. One, it's got a very small hold, so that will reduce the effect of the encumbered state if you get if you're overloaded, which does happen on this ship, and increases the turning rate by 8% and increases acceleration by 8%. More for the turning. This thing is rubbish at turning, and the 8% doesn't do a great deal, but it's obviously 8% better than it was when you haven't got it on there. So I could obviously put that on there as well. And that's pretty much the ship. So I hope that was any use. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.